Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Kirsty and this is Stuck in the Mud. As always, if you're finding my content helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. In today's video, I want to talk about the reality of intrusive thoughts with OCD and anxiety, because this is something I've experienced for 40 years of my life, and as a sufferer, we often will experience violent, graphic, scary images, urges, feelings and sensations, all this intrusiveness that we don't want to be experiencing. And, it can feel so real. It really can. But these are unwanted thoughts, unwanted intrusive thoughts. And intrusive thoughts in reality, they're just thoughts that the brain will throw up because we care and we value these things. And in recovery, it's good to recognize that you're having an intrusive thought, because it just gives us some space to do something about it when we're really experiencing this event in the mind that doesn't align with our values and our moral code. So when I say do something about it, I mean as little as possible. When we get these scary, horrible, negative, intrusive thoughts, we often get so caught up very quickly. Like, why am I having this thought? It must make me a terrible person. Will I commit this abhorrent act? And then we will often argue with it like, well, I'm really upset and feel so anxious, so I wouldn't do that. But if I'm thinking about it, am I capable? Am I suitably repulsed, by this thought? I'm thinking it, so it might happen. We're always like, what if, what is this all about? And it really does spiral then, because we're involved, we're trying to figure everything out and problem solve. And we're invested. And the reality is that thoughts only become intrusive when we label them as such, because any thought is allowed in our brain. Our brain will conjure up thousands of thoughts a day. And it certainly doesn't mean by letting those thoughts be there that you like them or that they're more likely to happen. Accepting their presence isn't accepting that they are true. They only become a problem when we get overly involved in our intrusive thoughts, our feelings, our sensations, our urges, when we're trying to work them out and we're judging ourselves for having them. We're arguing with them. We're trying to establish if they are a true reflection of ourselves. And the truth is, I'm not trying to give reassurance, but I certainly wouldn't be anxious or distressed about these thoughts if I was capable of committing such an act, like harming my child, for example. These are many of the intrusive thoughts I used to experience. And these thoughts are so far apart from who we are at our core and our true being. But because those thoughts feel so inappropriate to us, they alarm us. And our brain will throw up thoughts all day long, intrusive, unintrusive, but we can learn how to react to them by changing our behavior. The more we engage with them, the worse it gets. And this is when our brain will grab hold of it, when we overly involve ourselves, and it'll just cling on to it. It's like, I don't want to release this because it's important, and I'm obviously thinking about this a lot, and I need to hold on to it longer. And that's why it becomes such a bigger problem, because it'll just grow and get stronger. And this is where we don't want to be. So what we need to do is starve it of what it wants. It wants our attention, OCD and anxiety. And these key points help us in letting the thoughts be there. So any thought is allowed, the good, the bad, and the ugly. As least involvement as possible. This is kind of what I was always taught with my therapist. And, we don't also want to try and change the thoughts or argue with them, trying to work anything out. We're leaving it as alone, like I said, as least involvement as possible. It really is key. We don't want to try and push them out. We want to be as passive and calm with it as possible, saying to ourselves, it's okay, but I'm not going to give you what you want today. I'm not going to answer your questions. I'm just going to leave you right there to do your thing. And I'm going to move forward with my day. And that will feel quite repetitive at first, because we're, every time one will pop up, because OCD is going to dig its heels in for sure. It's going to be like, nope, why are you not doing what I want you to do? You're not giving it attention, you're not engaging with it. And it's going to, it's like I said, it's going to throw a bit of a tantrum there, and it's going to be like, come on, get your attention, try and get your attention another way, try and pose another question in your brain, the all intrusive, and trying to just like get your attention any way it can, big flashing lights, like, come on, answer it. But we don't do that. We don't give it what it wants. And this isn't the same as ignoring it or suppressing it. We're just letting it do its thing, because our brain will then, really recognize that this is unimportant stuff. It's just nonsense stuff that the brain's throwing up, and we don't need to do anything about it. And once that happens, you'll notice how your body just calms down. Your whole nervous system will change. You won't get that high anxiety anymore, because our brain, isn't as invested. We're not figuring anything out, because we don't need to, because they are thoughts that the brain will throw up. And that's the thing is, as an OCD sufferer, we often will all have our different intrusive thoughts and the ones that bother us. And, as a sufferer of one kind of intrusive thoughts, one subtype, you will hear what someone else is suffering from and be like, I wish I had that kind of thought, because that doesn't seem as bad to me. But it's all because individually we all hold different values, and, and of course, no one wants to hurt anybody else, and I'm sure as OCD sufferers, that is a common one to think. That was a lot of my intrusive thoughts, was about harming other people unintentionally or intentionally. And of course, that's not who I am. And OCD knows that, and it's going to thrive on that. It's going to, it's going to really intrude my brain with that, because it knows that's what I care a lot about, And we don't need to bother the thoughts, we don't bother with them, we don't bother with the thoughts, they won't bother us. And it will get easier. It takes so much practice, time and patience. It's not, this isn't, it's not an easy thing, and it takes a lot of setbacks along the way, but it's 100% achievable. And it's somewhere you deserve to be. We don't need to be answering everything that our brain throws up. We don't need to be scared by the fact we're thinking a certain thought, because that is not a reflection of who you are. And if anything, it shows me, because I know as a sufferer that, you're a kind, compassionate, caring person. And this is why your brain throws up all this stuff. So I would also recommend, you need to practice that self-compassion, that kindness to yourself, because it isn't an easy thing to go through. And, just go with it. Start small, little steps every day. Just, nope, not going to answer that today. You can do your thing. I'm going to move forward. And you will get there. You're going to get pushback, but you've got this. So remember that. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.